The first step to solving any problem is awareness. You simply can't solve the problem if you don't know that it exists. And this is definitely true when it comes to addiction. People are often asking me, how do I determine if I'm addicted? And I turn it back on them and give them a couple simple questions to ask themselves. And those are, do you have it or does it have you? In other words, are you controlling it or is it controlling you? Are you managing it or is it managing you? And then people often ask me, how do I determine this? So I ask them to commit to a break, to stay away from whatever it is, the substance, the alcohol, the behavior, for say 30 days. And if in those 30 days they're not able to stay away from it, or even if they are able to stay away from it, they're thinking about it, obsessing about it all the time, that's a really good indicator that there may be a problem. And if the ability to manage or control it is unpredictable, that's another great sign that there may be an issue. Now, that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, and it doesn't diagnose a substance use disorder or addiction, but it can point people in the right direction. This can work with alcohol, drugs, behaviors, almost anything. Do you have it, or does it have you? Become aware of that. Be honest with yourself. Learn to feel bad. This may sound counterintuitive because who wants to feel bad? I know I don't. But I've come to know that being able to feel bad is the key to really living well. I'm going to demonstrate this when it comes to having a craving. And this could be a craving for anything: alcohol, a drug, a behavior, a food, something that maybe you don't want to engage in or you've committed to staying away from. Craving comes up. What's in craving? Probably some sort of discomfort. And as soon as we experience that discomfort, we move right into the reaction, picking up the drug, picking up the alcohol, eating the pint of ice cream. In this way, it's really controlling us, and we're just moving from feeling bad to seeking relief. What we want to move into, and what I work with people in doing, is saying, okay, let's recognize that we're going to have cravings, and these are the automatic reactions we're going to have. These are what we're going to tend to go to right away. And instead of just trying to quit the ice cream or quit the alcohol or quit the drug or quit the behavior, we say, make yourself a promise that when you have the craving, not if, when, you're going to do something else first. And this may sound really simple. And if after doing that other thing, you still want to engage in the behavior, the substance, the alcohol, you can. But you promise yourself you're going to do something else first. So what do we do first? Something in the realm of a movement, a behavior, a breath. This could be any number of breaths that kind of relax the system. In behaviors, it could be calling a friend, could be saying a prayer if that's what you do. In movement, could be stretching your body, going for a walk, but committing to do one or two of these things. And then after you do them, if you still want to engage in the behavior, the substance, the food, the alcohol, you can. But what I find again and again with people is when they do this first, that craving, that discomfort that rises, when they add in one of these things first, the discomfort settles, the craving diminishes, and they don't feel the pull to the reaction. And instead of having an automatic reaction, they can have a response. They are in choice. This takes building distress tolerance and emotional resilience. That's feeling bad. Being able to experience discomfort without then doing something that harms us. And as we practice this, we build that resilience and that tolerance over time. So start with something small. Try it out. Let me know how it works in the comments. Practice discomfort. Just like almost anything else, in order to increase capacity and get better at something, we need to practice it. Just like if you want to build a muscle, you have to lift weights. It's no different. The Stoics used to do this and actually put themselves in situations that were uncomfortable. You can do the same thing, and you don't have to go with the most uncomfortable thing first. You can start with physical. That could be something like hard exercise, whatever that means for you, going a little bit further than you would normally do. Or like we see a lot of people doing, getting exposed to cold water, whether in a cold plunge or a shower. Something that puts your body into physical discomfort, not to stay there, but to just kind of get to the edge and hold it for a bit longer than you feel like you can, and then relax back from it. You can also then increase that to behavioral, doing something like going without your phone for a few hours, taking a break from social media, facing a small fear, and then building to emotional discomfort, having a hard conversation with somebody, or expressing vulnerability in a way that is a little bit scary for you. And as we practice these things, like I said in the beginning, our capacity increases. We build that distress tolerance and emotional resilience to be able to weather difficult times, because that's just what difficult times are. They're weather. And what weather does is it passes. It moves through. All of the experiences we have in life, the best, the worst, they all pass over time. And how we weather those storms is often determined by the capacity we have for discomfort. Try it out. Let me know what you think in the comments. If I could have one superpower, it would not be to be able to fly, be invisible, or run at the speed of light. It would be to be able to pause whenever agitated. I see that one of the biggest problems we have emotionally as human beings is that we confuse discomfort with threat and respond to discomfort as if it's threat, meaning we go into survival mode when we don't need to go into survival mode. And that starts with some sort of discomfort. And I would argue that most of the things that we face on a daily basis that are uncomfortable are not actually threatening to us. They're just things that we don't like to experience. So what does that mean? First, to recognize that we're going to get agitated. But when we get agitated and we move directly to automatic reaction, directly to a behavior that is not supportive of the direction we want to go, either with ourselves or in relationship, that most likely something's been triggered and thrown us into that survival response. What we really want to be able to do is to recognize when we're agitated, pause. And this sounds so simple. We don't even have to stop, but pause for a few seconds, a few minutes, a few hours. Because if something isn't actually life-threatening, there's nothing that can't wait 45 seconds, 45 minutes, or until the next day. We want to be able to pause, to be able to experience the discomfort that the agitation is bringing. And when we're able to do that, we can ride the wave of the discomfort and get to the other side. We can see things more clearly, and then we can choose and have a response versus a reaction. So how do we pause? First, we want to be able to be aware and recognize how and when we get agitated and have some tools at our disposal that we can use in reaction. So it could be a breath, could be a movement, could be a prayer, could be the phone. Something that's going to break that cycle that stops us from going directly to that reaction. And we can practice this pause to be able to bring up situations, even in our mind, that are maybe problems that we're experiencing, something that we're frustrated with, and allowing ourselves to sit with it for a few moments, to breathe into it, to go for a walk with it without trying to change it, and see how we experience it on the other side. But when we can build that muscle of pause in the middle, it becomes a real superpower. In working with so many people over the years with very acute addictions, something that they and their families often get wrong is that they feel like they'll be living their life just trying to avoid something, that they're thinking about things that they can't do. I can't pick up a drink anymore. I can't party with my friends. I can't go to this place. And some of those things may be true, but that's not really what a life in recovery is about. Whether that's from alcoholism, drug addiction, even most forms of mental illness. That it's not about the things that we can't do. It's about the things that we can do. And at a certain point, recovery really becomes alive for people when they realize that they can stop running from something and start moving towards something, to building a life. And even consider building a life where the substance, the alcohol, the behaviors don't even have a place. Moving toward relationships, purpose, joy, authenticity. There's a thing I've heard people who've been in recovery for a long time say. It's a pretty kitschy saying that goes, I thought I was giving up everything for one thing. But really, all I had to do to get everything was give up one thing. That stopping the substance or the alcohol was just the opening of the door to a life that they maybe weren't able to imagine before. That it wasn't about getting their old life back, it was about building a new one. You get to build a new life. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Build community. Addiction thrives in isolation. Alone, we cannot see ourselves clearly. In isolation, we have the same thinking, the same patterns. Problems grow. We're left to try to solve our challenges and problems with often the same mind that created it, and doing what is labeled as insanity, the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Isolation fosters all of that. The antidote is to build community. In community, we can have a new perspective, see blind spots. Our load is lightened. We can learn that we're not the only ones. People can help us move through things. We are built as human beings to be in community. That's where we are safe. Yet for some people, because of their history, community and building that community can seem impossible and even terrifying. So it doesn't mean you have to go out and meet 50 or 100 new friends. Even one person can help. That old simple saying that two heads are better than one is really, really true. And you can reach out to one person, and then as you feel safe with them, another. You don't have to be perfect, but you can start today. Reach out, take a risk, be vulnerable, even if just for a moment. I think you'd be amazed at what happens. People want community. When we ask for it, it can be easy to build, even if it's scary and seems really hard. The emotional weather map. This is a tool I give to all my clients and I do myself every single day. Here's what it's based on. If I were taking a trip, I'm gonna look at the weather where I'm going, and based on that weather, I'm going to pack certain things. If there's an 80% chance of rain while I'm there, I'm going to take a rain jacket or an umbrella. I'll be prepared. Now that does not mean when I'm there, I won't be out away from the car or the hotel and it starts raining and I don't have the jacket or I don't have the umbrella. But once it starts or I see it coming, I can run and grab it. I might get a little wet, but I can put my rain jacket on. Or I may even have it on when I leave the hotel in the morning. I'm prepared. That's exactly what we're doing here. It's preparing us to be able to travel the territory of our day. Although there's a couple other steps. It starts with gratitude. This is simple for mindset. I ask people to choose 4 to 5 things they're grateful for and pick one thing that they're challenged by, that they're ready to meet. 2, plans for the day, not your detailed schedule, just the buckets of the things that you're doing that day. For me, it's often taking the kids to school, going to work, getting some exercise, and being with the family that evening. Now, if it's the weekend or I'm traveling, that's different. That's why this is important, to look at what's the territory we're traveling that day. Then I look at what my current state is, specifically emotionally. I might also understand that I'm really tired, which is not an emotional state, but it's important for me to recognize that. But emotionally, I'm going to look at what am I experiencing now, specifically around any fears and resentments. But it might be that I'm also waking up this morning experiencing joy. And then I'm going to look at these things, the number 2 and number 3, and I'm going to say, this is the territory that I'm traveling today. This is how I already am this morning. Based on that, there are some character liabilities that I want to watch for and some assets that I'm going to strive for. Let me give you an example. If I were traveling and I knew that I had to be on 2 airplanes that day, I was at a connecting flight, and I already woke up tired and a little bit annoyed, I know myself in a way that I am more susceptible to wanting to be in control, to having anger or frustration. So because I know I'm flying, I'm on a couple flights and I'm already tired, I'm going to watch for control and irritability, and I'll strive for acceptance and kindness. That does not mean that at some point during this trip, just like if the rain caught me off guard, that I'm going to start going down the road of frustration or control or fear, but I've already put it out there as something that I might experience. Therefore, I could avoid it, or once I'm in it, I know that I can pull out of it by striving for that acceptance and kindness. Very simple. Mindset, plans for the day, current state, what to watch for, and what to strive for. You can begin to predict what you're susceptible to and be prepared to meet it. I have found this immeasurably useful in my own life, and I hear back from people all the time how much it impacts them. Try it out. Try it for a week or a month. Let me know what you think in the comments.